so right at 10 o'clock. So use this time to let us know where you're joining from and get excited to visit a Minnesota beef farm. All right, I see Trinity Lutheran School 5th and 6th graders in St. Francis, 2nd graders in Lake Crystal, 1st graders at Washington Elementary in Mankato. Welcome to you. 2nd grade, Sabika Elementary. I love that you guys are joining us. If you are just coming on in, let me tell you that we are getting started, or we're getting ready for our final virtual field trip of the school year to Brenny Beef Farm. We have 1st graders from Victoria Elementary, 2nd graders from Sartell, 5th and 6th graders from All Saints Academy in St. Cloud, Mrs. Gary's 1st graders in Sherburne, some more students from Mountain County West 4th graders. Winona, Minnesota is here. So I am excited to have all of you with us. My name is Sue Knott, and I work with the Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom program. We also want to welcome 2nd graders from St. James. So if you are just tuning in, please use the Q&A feature to tell us where you're joining us from, your location as well as the grade level. So we have Rochester students coming to us, 1st graders from Redwood Falls. Let's see, a couple more 2nd graders from Winona. Thank you all. Thank you all for making time to join us. So we'll get started here in about maybe another minute. We have a couple people joining us still, getting logged in. So if you did not hear my announcement, I'm Sue Knott. I work with the Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom program, and we are so happy that you could join us for this final virtual field trip of our school year. So we are celebrating Beef Month. It's National Beef Month, which is May. And so we want to take you to a beef farm here in Minnesota. So I think we have our friends on YouTube that are going to be joining us in just a second. So if you are in Zoom, I encourage you to use the Q&A feature throughout this virtual field trip to ask any questions, and I will pass those on to our farmer hosts. Also, we have closed captioning today, so you can turn on those subtitles if you'd like the words to come across the bottom of the screen. And we will be able to share the words that people are sharing. You can see them on the bottom of your screen. So it looks like we are live on YouTube. So I am so excited once again to welcome everyone to our virtual field trip. We are going to Brenny Farms, which is near Mazeppa, Minnesota. Katie Brenny is going to be our host. Katie and her husband Ted own Brenny Farms. Ted is going to be our cameraman, so we won't be able to see him, but he is definitely part of the show at Brenny Farms. So I'm going to pass it over to Katie, who is on location at Brenny Farms, to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her farm.
Well, good morning, Sue, and students and learners. We are so excited to have you here on the farm. And as you can see, we do have the beef cows and some baby calves behind me. So a little bit of background, some history on Ted and I. We are both 5th generation farmers, which means our families have been in farming and in agriculture for 5 generations. So our fathers, our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, and great-great-grandfathers. So we're just carrying on the tradition of producing food, fiber, and fuel for our consumers. So Ted grew up near St. Cloud, Minnesota, on a dairy farm with corn and soybeans. He was really involved in 4-H and FFA. I grew up just 8 miles from where we are today in Sombrota, Minnesota, on a corn and soybean and pumpkin farm. And yes, my birthday is very close to Halloween, and I grew up in 4-H and FFA as well. And my dad and mom even allowed us to get some beef cattle, is how I got started in the beef family. Ted grew up with that dairy background, and they also had beef cattle as well. So we both come from strong farming families. And then we actually met, Sue, showing cattle at the Minnesota State Fair. And, kind of love at first sight at the Great Minnesota Get Together. And then we both moved here to the farm in Mazeppa, just outside of town. It is 1.2 miles to our big town of 800 people. We have no stoplights. I think there might be a few stop signs, but we have a school, a gas station, a post office. That's about all there is, but we love our small town. And then we bought this farm. And on the farm today, we have since we bought it, we just have beef cows and this beautiful green grass. So we don't grow any crops. We have a garden, but that's for our eating and consuming here at home. So we're really excited to have you here. We feel very blessed to live in Southeast Minnesota. We're 25 minutes from the downtown of Rochester. So if you've heard of the Rochester Mayo Clinic, we're 25 miles away, and it takes us about an hour, about 60 miles to get to the Minneapolis airport. So we get this really beautiful farm, but yet we can get to Target or Home Depot or Menards pretty quickly, which is really awesome. On the farm today, you'll see we have the white cows. Those are called Charolais. And then we have the black cows, which are called Angus. So just like you might have some German heritage or some Polish heritage, it's the kind of family line that these cows come from. And so you'll see that we like to have two different kinds just because we get to choose to have that on the farm. Every farmer and rancher does things a little bit different. So you might visit some farms where they have all one color of cattle, or they might have many colors of cattle. And here we have two. Any questions at this point, Sue, or anything I can explain further?
Well, you know what? We've seen a glimpse of your dog. So we've already had questions. How old is your dog? Is it a boy or a girl? And what is your dog's name?
This is Etta. Can you say hi? She's a Cocker Spaniel. She's 3, and she's actually a really good cow dog. So she helps us move cows. But then as you can see, she likes to play with her ball around the farm. She keeps us entertained here, and she's kind of the farm mascot.
She looks like she's having a great time. It must be a really nice day down there by Mazeppa. So we have a couple of questions, which I think will lead into what you wanted to share with next is how do you keep the cattle from escaping and what do you do to take care of them?
Yeah, great question. So if Ted can follow me, my cameraman, a little bit, you'll see that we have posts. There's a green post and a black and white post. We've got some ribbon fence, we call it. So what we do here, and cows just went to grass on Sunday, so just 3 days ago, so they're very excited to be out here. So at this time of year, when the grass is growing, we'll actually move them every day to 3 days to 4 days. It just depends on how Mother Nature cooperates with us based on the grass growth. So the cows are in this little pasture or paddock, we call it, and then they'll actually be moved depending on how fast they eat the grass, how fast the grass grows back to the next paddock or the next section of the farm. So throughout the summer and fall, they'll actually rotate around the farm in these little small areas of grass, probably about 3 or 4 times. And we love this time of year. We love to come out and move the cows to grass. They are an awesome natural recycler. They take the grass that I don't think many of us want to eat, and they actually put it through their 4 compartments of their stomach, and they produce healthy calves, these mama cows, which then turn into beef, which you can have at a restaurant or you can buy at a grocery store to eat at home or out and about. In the winter time, the cows, will show you what we feed them in a little bit, but in the winter time, we actually feed them every day with hay, which is dried grass. So we buy that from other farmers. We bring that in here to the farm. But this time of year, we love it. It is our favorite to see our animals out on the grass as kind of God intended them to be. And you'll see we even have some babies out there. So we have just started having baby calves, and we will have them throughout the summer as well.
So Katie, we have a few people that have the same question. So Miss Oster, Miss Gades, Miss Sanders, and Young Un Lee all want to know how many cows you have.
Great question. So right now there are 25 total mother cows, and then we have 5 baby calves right now, and we have 1 bull. So that is the male, the father of the calves. And then we also have a donkey. Her name is Daisy. We might see her later. And she is a very exciting part of the farm too. So the state of Minnesota, the average farmer has about 16 to 18 cows. So we're just a little bit bigger than the average. But that's the really cool part about beef farming and ranching is you can have one cow, or we have friends in Colorado that have about 1,500 cows. So it just really depends. But Ted and I both work off the farm in agriculture careers. And so we do a lot of the cow moving by flashlight, or in early mornings or in late nights. So we really feel that 25 is what we can handle, and it's really what our grass can handle.
So Caitlin Kruger has been putting lots of great questions in our Q&A box. I will share two of those. She wants to know how big are the grass areas where they get to eat, and then also, do the cows have names?
So the grass areas really depend. It just really depends on how big Ted wants to make them. Or if, for instance, we're going on vacation in a couple of weeks, right? So we'll give them a bigger area. Or if we really want them to trample, or call it mob grazing, really get that grass short, stomped on, we'll actually make it smaller. So I don't have an exact answer for you, Sue. It just really all depends kind of where we're feeling and where posts kind of get put. Some of these cows do have names. There is one old show heifer. That is actually the last cow we showed. Her name is Sassy. She has a tag number of 7812. I believe she's over there by the garden. She is the oldest cow on this farm today. She's 12. So she's had 11 babies. And then the rest of the cows really just have numbers. We're just that's where we're at. We used to name them all, right, when I was little. But now we just know the cows by tag numbers. So for instance, 909 is going to actually have a calf here pretty soon. And so we just always check on 909 in the morning and in the evening, and that's how we refer to the cows.
Awesome. Well, Katie, you mentioned two things. First of all, you said that Sassy is an old show heifer. And I think heifer is a word that maybe some of us aren't very familiar with. So if you could tell us what that is. And then I know that you had some ear tag samples for us to look at. If you could talk a little bit about that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll actually head up the hill so Ted can follow me as I answer the question. So yeah, great that you pointed out the farmer rancher language. So a heifer is a female that has not had a calf yet. So think about that as someone who has not had a baby. Once they have a baby, their first baby, we call them a first calf heifer. So they've had one calf, still a young female. And then after calf number 2 comes, they then become a cow. So heifer is when they're female with no calf. First calf heifer is when they have one baby. Baby number 2 comes, they're now a cow. And then we have a bull, and that is the male. So he has the testosterone and the semen that breeds the cows.
Well, we can see Etta leading the way. Go ahead. I was just saying, we can see Etta leading the way. Do you want to tell us where you're going on your farm? And as you're walking, Mrs. Hines class, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hines, if I said your name wrong, but they want to know what your favorite part about working on a farm is.
That's a tough one. My favorite part of working on the farm has probably always been that I get to do it with my family. So there are some jobs that you get to do by yourself, but most of the time we work as a family. If we're building fence, moving cows, feeding cows, growing up, putting crops in, picking pumpkins was always a family affair. And I just love to be outside. Today is a gorgeous day. The humidity finally left, but even in the cold weather of Minnesota, it is really nice to be outside. So back to your question quickly, Sue, about ear tags. So when a calf is born, we put their information in this calving book. So it's a little leather book that is like the Bible, right? It has all of our cow information. We'll write down the mom's tag number, the date the calf is born, and the weight. So we weigh all the calves, and then if they're a heifer calf, so a girl, or a bull calf, which is a boy, and then we'll actually ear tag them too. And we ear tag them so that we know what their number is. So we'll start with this yellow tag. So it's not written on because we haven't had a new calf yet, but we'll handwrite on these tags with a special marker the calf's tag number, the date they were born, and their mom's number. So we know who belongs to who. And then once they become pregnant with their first calf, they'll actually get a cow tag, which is what we call them here. And they have our farm logo on them. and then they'll just have their number. So then we remove the date they were born and their mother's tag number. And then this is a fancy little tool we call an ear tagger. Doesn't hurt them. It's super fast. Think about it as like getting your ears pierced. So that's how we tag them, and that's how we know who's who. And then every couple of weeks, we'll take that black calving book and we'll take that in the house, or Ted can do it on his phone, and we use an app called Cattle Max. So we do use technology here on the farm, and that Cattle Max app keeps track of all of our data, all of our information. So I can look up a cow anywhere I am. If I'm at the zoo or the grocery store or here at home on the farm, I always have access to information. Any other questions?
Yeah, Katie, we've had a couple people ask, what do you feed the cows and how much do they weigh?
Yeah, great question. So what we feed the cows, it depends. So in this time of year, they see them on the green grass. So we're actually up here by the heifer pen. So you'll see these are the cows that haven't had a calf yet. So they're kind of the teenagers of the farm. And so they're eating grass right now. And then what we also give all the cows that are out on grass is this mineral, it's called. So we buy it. It's a product from Land O'Lakes, which is a Minnesota company. And it's just like eating your vitamins, your Flintstones. That's what it is for them. So it has some salt in there, and it has lots of minerals they need to keep their bodies functioning, that maybe the minerals really don't kind of come from the grass all the time. So we supplement them. Then in the winter time, we'll feed a little bit of cracked corn. So we buy this from local farmers through the elevator. So it's just like going to the store and buying your corn. We go to the store and buy the cow's corn. And we feed that to get them energy in the winter when it's cold. So we only feed that in the winter time. And then in the winter time as well, like I said, we feed them hay. So this is nothing more than grass that was cut and dried last summer. So think about mowing your lawn. And if you raked your lawn, we would bale that or gather that up, and we save it for winter time. And we feed this to our cows each day in the winter time. And then our cows live outside and they grow a nice fuzzy hair coat. And then they lay in something called straw. So the farmers are planting this right now. They'll harvest it in August, September. They'll take the grain off of it, and then the straw is like the stem. And that'll come here to the farm, and we use that for bedding. So the question about what do the cows weigh? So that just very depends. So when baby calves are born here, they weigh anywhere from 60 pounds. So think about, usually I think, Sue, it's about the weight of a kindergartner, first grader, all the way up to about 90 pounds based on genetics and their environment factors. And then when we sell them off this farm, so we sell the baby calves off the farm, and there will be about 600 to 800 pounds. And think about that like going to school. So they're with their moms for about 6 months, drinking mother's milk and eating the grass and the mineral. And then they'll leave the farm and they'll go to the next part of the beef life cycle.
So here's a question from Brandy, who's on YouTube. She wants to know, how many pounds of beef does one animal produce?
So on average, right, we're talking averages because every farmer is a little bit different. But on average, a beef animal can weigh about 1,600 to 1,800 pounds. And they'll go to the locker or the butcher plant or the meat market, has lots of names. And there they'll be processed. And you have to remember, you have to take out hide and bone. And then you end up with about 60 to 62% of that will actually be take home meat products. So that's your hamburgers, your T-bones, your roasts will actually come from that.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. So I know you've moved locations. So we started up by the cattle kind of near your house, and now you're down below by your barn, and we see the heifers in the back. Is there any other features you want to tell us on your farm and that you use to take care of these cattle?
Yeah, great question, Sue. So you'll see we've got some rail fences in the yards. We call this the yards. And that's where sometimes we keep cattle if we need to watch them. if they're getting close to having a calf, or maybe they have a little, I don't know if Ted quickly showed you, but there's a scratcher, we call it down there. It's blue, and it's actually an old sweet streaper that they use to clean the city streets. And so we get those from the city after they're done with them, and the cows will itch on them, right? Just like you might have a mosquito bite or an itch on your back, the cows like to itch on that as well. And that way they don't itch on trees, or they don't itch on fence posts or gates. They like to itch on the scratcher. And then behind me here is the barn. And then we call this the man cave. In the top part, it stores some small bales of hay and straw. And then below it is kind of our room where we keep all the veterinary supplies and all of our breeding supplies. Anything related to the cows has a special little room. And then the feed tank is there where that corn comes and is used for storage.
Awesome. So many fun things. And we've seen Etta a bunch. Mrs. Gady's class also spotted a cat. So they're wondering how many cats you have and if they have names.
Ted, can you zoom in on, this is Simba. Simba likes to think she's a dog. The neighbor kids named her. These two like to play together. I think we have 6 cats. I'm not quite sure. They're outside cats, and we do feed them and play with them, but they serve a great purpose on the farm, and that's keeping the mice under control for us.
Awesome. So we have a bunch of questions from Kim Kilmer, and one of them wants to know more about the food. Do you grow the corn and the other things that you feed your cattle, or do you buy those from other farmers, or where do they come from?
Yeah, great question. And so our farm, what we do here is we actually buy in all of the hay and all of the straw. So if you were to come in about October, November, you might catch a semi here delivering those big bales. And then we actually have a skid loader that we use to put that in the shed to protect it from the weather, right? That lovely Minnesota weather. And then we'll actually feed that out of the shed as we need it. So we buy in all of our feed. We call it feed stuffs in farmer terms. All of that gets bought in here. So what we grow here is the green grass, and we try to maximize that grass by putting the cows through that crazy rotation I talked about, because we really want to utilize what Mother Nature and God have given us to really grow healthy, nutritious beef.
Awesome. So Katie, if you guys would want to move back up to where we started, there was a couple questions about the color of the cattle. How do they get their color, and why do you have different colors? And I know you had some black and white ones, but also some dark red ones that maybe we could see. And there is a request if we could get up close to a cow to see, so we could see their face and maybe their tongue, because I know cows have really cool tongues. So maybe as we're walking, there was another question from Bailey, who's joining us on YouTube and wants to know if the cows ever get sick.
Yeah, cows do get sick from time to time, just like you and I get sick from time to time. And we work really closely with our veterinarian. So we are very blessed, which is sometimes a struggle for some farmers and ranchers. But we do have a really good veterinarian clinic in a town nearby. So Dr. Grant is actually these girls as a veterinarian, their doctor. He comes out at least once a year and he'll preg check them. So he sees with ultrasound. So it's kind of like these computer goggles he wears, and he'll ultrasound these girls to see if they have a heifer. So if they have a heifer calf, a female, a girl, or bull calf in them, and he'll tell us approximately when they're due. Sometimes we have to call him if we have a cow that's not feeling well, and he will do the assessment on her, evaluate the cows and sometimes the baby calves, and kind of see what we need to do. If we do need to give any antibiotics or any medicine, he gives that, and then we have to document that very, very carefully, and we have to keep records to make sure that we know what was given to who and when and the correct amount. So we try not to have the veterinarian out, as that is expense to the farm. So we try to do our best to keep these girls healthy all the time, but just like you and I, sometimes they catch a bug or two and need a professional.
So I want to compliment Ted for doing some great camera work. Those are awesome close-ups of all these cattle. They look like they're having a great day in the sun. But I noticed, and I think our viewers probably noticed too, the different colors. So Katie, if you want to talk about that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we have the white ones are called Charolais. The black ones are called Angus. So we just choose here on our farm to have two different colors. If you see our neighbors across the road, they actually have lots of colors. And then you're probably seeing these two red cows. And these are a little fun project we have here. So they actually have embryos in them. And so they're carrying an embryo or an egg or calf in them that's not theirs. We call that surrogacy. So it's very similar to if you've heard about that in humans. So we call them recipient cows. So we have another cow's genetics growing inside of them. And when the calf is born, the calf doesn't know any different, right? It thinks those red cows are its mama, and that those red cows will raise that calf as their own. I see these baby calves are in my garden now that Ted is showing you.
They're just curious. They want to explore. So I know that you've mentioned that these are girls, and you have the veterinarian as the girls as doctor, but we have baby calves, and we have the moms with calves growing inside of them. So how do they get pregnant if you don't have any boys on your farm?
Yep, we have one boy. His name's Carlos. He is actually a black Angus, so he is black. So he will get bred, or we will put him out when it's time with the black cows. If you think about your genetics, black times black equals black. And then these white cows are actually going to get bred. It's called a process called artificial insemination. It's a technology. And so this is a semen straw out of the semen tank, which we didn't show you today. And then this is the straw. So Ted will actually unthaw this. And then it's a very precise process. And then he will actually inseminate the white cows with a white bull that they collected the semen on. So white cows, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brooke Sanders wants to know, how often do you have twins that are born from either, using the bull or the semen?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of twins. I think we haven't had one for a few years here on the farm. We don't really like twins in the beef industry or the beef family because that's a lot of stress on the mama, right? She has to divide her milk times 2, and then we want growth on these calves. We want them to get nice and big fast. So we like to really have one calf per one cow, and it's a great way to help that calf grow, and then that mom has focus and attention on one calf.
That definitely makes sense. Now it's a sunny day, a little bit windy, but it's nice and sunny. But we have had a couple people that or a couple questions about the winter. So how do you care for the cattle in the winter? And I know we have a couple pictures that we'll share, and then you can describe what you do to take care of the cattle in the winter.
Yeah, so what happens in the winter when the grass is dormant, not growing, we run out of it, we'll actually take them off all of the grass, and they have a pen or a piece of ground, piece of land that they hang out in the winter. So we'll bed them with the straw, that golden stuff I showed, to kind of make them a nice comfy bed. And then we feed them hay, dried grass, every day. And they'll actually hang out up there. You can see the pictures of Ted feeding them. I think Edda's helping him in a few of those. And so they're fed in a feeder, a round bale feeder. And then they can kind of think about it like snack time, right? They can come and go as they get hungry throughout the day. And then they just kind of chill out outside. And we have a fancy windbreak there to just get them out of the wind. It's really important to just get the beef cows out of the wind, because they can handle the cold temperatures as they grow a thick, fuzzy hair coat.
It sounds like they're well taken care of in the winter as well. So we're getting close to the end, but Katie, I want you to talk a little bit, and Heather asked this question. After you put all of this effort and time into raising really, healthy animals, what happens after they leave your farm, and how do I know we can eat beef, but are there other ways that we use these cattle after they're processed?
Yeah, so when they leave our farm, we actually sell them to a different farmer who will actually raise them for the next process. So that farmer usually will feed them corn, and lots of other feed to make them continue to grow. And then they'll eventually become beef. And that's the point of having these beautiful calves, is to grow nice, healthy beef for all of you to consume. So when they leave our farm, they just go to another farmer who does a different part of the beef life cycle. So we're the first part. I think it's the best part, but I'm a little biased. And then there's different farmers that are called backgrounders that will take the cattle up to more weight and put some more grass in them and some more corn. And then there's a feedlot, which is a different type of farmer and rancher where they continue to feed corn and other feed to the animals and then get them ready to go to the final product of beef. So lots of different people involved, Sue.
There are, and I'm so thankful for the role that you guys play. So, I hope that if our audience, our viewers are enjoying hamburgers or steaks or anything else with beef, they'll think of all of the hardworking farmers that make that possible. And if you're not, if you don't enjoy eating the meat, cattle give us lots of other things too, like, leather for our shoes and all sorts of other different products that we use every day without even thinking about it. So Katie, you already answered the question, or someone already asked the question, what is your favorite thing about farming? But I'm going to ask you one more to wrap this up. What do you think the future looks like for Brenny Farms? Are you going to continue growing cattle for the next 100 years, or what's your plan? I'm not hearing anything. I don't know if we lost sound.
We may have lost some audio. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe Sarah could just give us a quick answer about, well, Sarah can't answer that question about Katie. Never mind, Sue. Maybe we just wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank Katie and Ted Brenny for hosting us, Brenny Farms in Mazeppa, Minnesota today. Fantastic beef farmers. And also teachers, thank you for tuning in with your students. We're so fortunate to have awesome educators and students here in our state. And as you're thinking and planning in next year, don't forget to sign up for our Ag Mag magazine series. These are free magazines that we can share in print or online. So check out mnagmag.org. And specific for teachers, we have a series of virtual teacher tours this summer. You can check out all of the details. We're going to some really fun places throughout the state virtually, but information can be found on our website, mn.agclassroom.org in the events section. So thanks for joining us today, and thanks for joining us throughout the school year. We really enjoyed bringing agriculture to you so you could check out farms in your classroom. Have a great summer, everybody.